Hi, thanks for joining me again. I hope you're finding these series interesting, and I hope you're finding the topics that I talk about interesting. If there's anything that you'd like me to talk about, then you can always sort of put it in the comments section, and I might see if I have any thoughts on that particular topic. But today I've got one for myself that came out of thoughts that I have about myself whenever I sort of have a problem, and also thoughts or things I've heard from other people. And one of them was from my late father as well. And I think it's one that men seem to hold on to in some sort of strange way. And it's this idea of being a burden when you've got some sort of issue or something like that. You don't want to burden people. And having gone through it myself, I understand both sides of the fence. It's when I sort of heard it from somebody else that I thought, what a lot of hogwash. I can't even say the word. Because you're only a burden when you don't talk about it, because then you start to lash out, you start to not talk, and so people don't understand what's going on, and people sometimes just want to know what's driving this behavior, not because they want to fix you, although certainly as men we would like to, but they would like to just get to the bottom and make your life a little bit better. So this idea of being a burden for somebody when you're struggling is really, I know where it comes from, because I think that myself sometimes, that I'm a burden if I'm like moping around the house or something like that, and my wife's off doing something, or being happy about something that's happened for her, and I can't generate that same level of enthusiasm. And I feel like I'm a burden to her, that she's got to then, I've got to dampen down my happiness because I don't want to impinge. I don't want to make your thoughts or feelings feel frivolous and stuff like that. But it's not like that at all. You should be looking at it from the other point of view and sort of seeing that person's happiness and try and partake in that happiness and be joyful for them. And that might just spark a little bit of joy in yourself, which is really what we're all trying to get to. A lot of times we're depressed because that joy in some shape or form has left us, and we're trying to get it back in some crazy form or not. So this idea of being a burden and being somebody who's bringing other people down, it's just ridiculous. Although I know so many people think that, especially when they have these sort of depression or anxiety. I'm a burden. You're better off just leaving me alone. And sometimes those things then are they become true because you think it. You're pushing somebody away, and there's only so many times that somebody will come back before they say, "I just can't get through to you, so I will leave you to yourself." And so then you sort of say, "Oh, see, I was a burden because that person left me." But it's really your thoughts in the beginning about being a burden that has sort of precipitated that and made that come true. So sometimes, and I'll probably talk about this a little bit more in another video at some stage, but this idea of being a burden is just ridiculous. You've got to sort of see that people are there for you. Like I say, people do actually care. I've said that in a different video, and they do want to help, and they want to make sure that you don't feel these things about being a burden, being whatever. I don't know what other sort of term you might use, sort of waste of space or whatever. And people want to actually sort of help you out. So don't think you're a burden. Otherwise, people will stop reaching out and leave you at that point in time. But you are a person. You are never, ever a burden. And the first thing that you can do is really try and help yourself by just sort of saying, I'm struggling. I'm struggling here, and I don't know why I'm struggling. I should be okay. Or maybe you do know why you're struggling. But don't think of yourself a burden. Just have that first initial conversation to try and let people know that you are struggling. Anyway, I hope that's been helpful. I know I've felt like that, and I've struggle against it a lot of times, that I sort of feel like that. But the best thing you can do is just talk and start to unburden yourself as well. Anyway, look after yourself. Thanks a lot for listening. If you do like the channel, happy for you to subscribe. And also, if you've got topics that you'd like me to talk about, happy to hear from you. Anyway, look after yourself, and thanks for listening.